welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today is Phistomefel Day. I hadn't realised there was a new Phistomefel on the block, so that is extremely remiss of me, but we're going to be having a go at a puzzle called Cave Panem or Panem today, which I think is a play on Cave Canem, which means beware of the dog. So this means beware of the bread. And I think that's because this is a sandwich Sudoku. Well, it's a weird type of sandwich Sudoku. So we have to beware of the bread today, or the crusts. And I'll read you the rules of this one in just a moment. It is fairly remarkable to me that this puzzle has a unique solution, given there only seem to be 7 clues in it, but we'll get to that in a second or two. We had some exciting news last night. I believe that all copies of our book, which came out a while ago now, have now been delivered to backers. Now, if you're listening to this thinking, I haven't had my book, then make sure, get in touch with Jelly Bean Games, who are our distribution partner. Make sure you filled in the pledge manager, and let's sort it out. But I think, to my knowledge anyway, everyone who should have received a book has received a book. And I need to say a special thank you to J.S. Hedegaard, who hadn't received his book, or her book. I don't know if J.S. Hedegaard is a boy or a girl, I'm afraid. So wrote a version of The Sound of Silence in response, sort of lamenting that fact and pleading for a book. And it's so fabulous that I attempted to record a version of that this morning. It's not very good, but, well, it's not very good of me. It's extremely good of J.S. Hedegaard, and I will append that to the end of this video for your amusement. Don't skip to the end to watch it now. Anyway, so that's just something to tell you about. Now, do I have anything else to tell you about? Not really. So why don't we kick straight on with Phistomefel's puzzle? The rules are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. A number outside the grid gives the sum of the digits sandwiched between the 1 and 9 in that row or column. So let's have a look at this clue and see if we can understand it. So this is a 19 clue. So let's imagine the 9 was here. And let's imagine 19 could be 4, or let's imagine it's 3. It could be 4. I think it may even be able to be 5. No, it probably can't be 5 because we couldn't include the 1. So this... these 3 cells now would have to add up to 19. Now, there are a few ways of doing that, but let's imagine it was 8, 7, and 4. This would be an absolutely valid way of filling in this clue. So you can see we've got the sandwich between the 9 and the 1 in the column, digits summing to 19. And that's how sandwich Sudoku works. Fabulous form of Sudoku. I haven't done one of these for a while. Now, there is another rule, which is a fairly extraordinary one. Orthogonally adjacent cells must not add up to 5 or 10. So this is some sort of massive negative XV constraint going on in this puzzle. So that means we can look at any domino in this puzzle. Let's look at this one. And what you could not have in this domino is a 3 here and a 7 here. You couldn't also have a 3 here and a 2 here, because either of those is invalid, because of course that domino now adds up to 10 and that domino adds up to 5, neither of which is permitted. So right, that's the rules. Do have a go. I mean, I shouldn't need to tell you, if you've been watching the channel for any amount of time, you will know the regard with which I hold Phistomefel in is, well, second to none. So I'm sure this will be utterly brilliant. I don't know though how difficult it is. I forgot to look on Logic Masters Germany, so sorry. It's probably quite hard. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, though. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, how do we get cracking with this? The only thing that occurs to me as I look at the grid now are these 10 clues, and I can see that they are restricted, because what we cannot do in any of these columns, if we put a 1 there and a 9 there just for the sake of exposition, the puzzle would be broken. Because, of course, this domino would now have to sum to 10, which is explicitly against the rules. We cannot have dominoes that sum to 10. So that means that in these columns that have 10 in them, we must be making our 10 sandwich clue in 3 cells exactly. We can't make it in 4 cells exactly because, of course, although you can make 4 cells in a Sudoku, add up to 10 with different digits, the only way of doing that would be like that, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and that would repeat the 1 in the column. So what I think we have in every column that has a 10 in it is a 2, 3 and a 5, adding up to 10 in the middle of the sandwich, because of course, again, because we can't use the 1, the only way of making 3 digits add up to 10 is 2, 3 and 5. And now I can even say something further about this, which is that you can't put the 2 and the 3 are very naughty when they get close to each other. So we have to keep them apart because they add up to 5. So the only way of doing that is to put the 5 in the middle. So actually, this is very weirdly constrained. Every single column that has a 10 clue in it, we know is of the form 1, 9, don't know whether it's a 1 or a 9, blob, 5, blob, 1 or 9, where the blobs are 2s or 3s. Now, what on earth does that mean? I don't know is the short answer. What I am noticing is that if I used colours to do this, if I use reds for 1s and 9s and greens for the fillings, you can't put a red next to a red because they would add up to 10, so I couldn't make this a 9, for example. Oh, well, the other reason you couldn't do that is that you put a 5 next to a 5, which is perhaps simpler. So, just wondering if there's any restriction. I mean, for example, the problem is this is nonsense in column 2. It's just a total, it's total conjecture to allow me to see how the column worked. But if this was the arrangement, you couldn't have a 9 here, because of course these 3 cells would then have to be 2, 3 and 5, and we'd have far too many cells in box 4 that were 2, 3 and 5. So how do we get a handle on what's going on here? The 3 clue in row 1 must be of the form 1, 3, 9 or 9, 3, 1, somewhere along it. Okay, so that cell's green. Right, let's get rid of this because this is nonsense and start filling in some stuff that isn't nonsense. This cell is green because if it was red, this cell would be a 3, and now this column is impossible because we know there's a 2, 3 and a 5 somewhere in this column sitting in between the 1 and the 9. So that square is green. And the same is true of this square. It's exactly the same logic. If that's red, then that's the 3, and now this column's broken because of the 10 clue. This is really lovely, isn't it? It's not that difficult yet, but it's very interesting. So that square is also green. The same is true of this square. This square is green because, again, if that's red, this is a 3, and this 10 clue can't have the 3 in the middle of its sandwich, and that's a shame. Oh, right, so that cell's different. Look, that could be red because this would be a 3 now, and that 3 is not affecting any clue in its column, so we don't know about this one. So, that's really nearly useful, but we can't quite conclude any cell in row 1 that's definitely involved in this 3 clue, because we could cram it into those 3 cells, or we could cram it into those 3 cells, or we could have some configuration in the middle. So does this not being able to be a red digit, does that matter? So now we could have red here, 1, 2, 3, red here. These would all be green. These would be 2, 3, 5. This would be 5. Sorry, I'm not exactly understanding this. So, one question I'm wondering is, this square couldn't be red in this configuration, could it? So if the 5 was adjacent to the red, don't we have a problem with these two digits? Because these two digits have to be from 2, 3 and 5, and those two digits have to be from 2, 3 and 5. That won't work. Although maybe, is that a function of the configuration? You know, of this particular configuration, it might be. Oh no, actually I'm not sure it is. Let me just shuffle that around slightly. Let's put it right at the bottom of the column if the software lets me do it. So if it was like that, so if they were red and I tried to put this red next to the 5, that's now fine again, isn't it? No, actually still doesn't work. It still doesn't work. Because now all those 3 squares have to be 2, 3 and 5. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, so what we've learned from this is probably not terribly interesting, but what I've learned is that I want to say that the red in column 3, or one of the reds in column 3, is going to touch diagonally one of the reds in column 2, because you can't put red here because of the logic we've just discovered. Although, yeah, that's still correct. Still correct with this configuration, so that doesn't work either. And that means that the red is either there and there, or there and there. If this was the configuration of reds, we'd have to have one of those two configurations. Okay. I'm not getting a warm fuzzy feeling about this. Oh, 25 clue. I suppose there's a small point around any digit that's 22 or larger as a clue in a sandwich Sudoku, which is that if you think about the central cell and whether or not it can be a 1 or a 9, the answer you will reach is that it cannot be. And that's because any clue that's 22 or larger needs 3 digits in the sandwich, at least. Well, no, it needs 4. Well, 22 or larger needs 4. The point is that 8, 7 and 6 add to 21, and that's the most you could ever put in a 3-cell sandwich. So once you reach 22, you need a 4th cell, and that throws the other 1 or 9 off the edge of the grid. So that central cell's got to be green. Aha! Actually, maybe that's not the point of the 25 clue. What I'm suddenly thinking about now is the secret in the context of the 25 clue, and that's because, I suppose for some of you, you may not know the secret. Now, the secret is something I only tell my very favourite people, but that of course includes you. And the secret is that any complete row of a Sudoku, or indeed any complete column, or any complete box, because of the rules of Sudoku, contains the digits 1 to 9, once each. If you add up all the digits 1 to 9 once each, you get 45. So we can do maths on this row, because that's telling us, if we've got, I don't know, we need at least 4 cells, don't we? So if we had that configuration for the 1s and 9s, and this was the filling, then you'd have 4 cells in the filling adding to 25, a 1 and a 9 in the crusts adding up to 10. 25 plus 10 is 35. That means the outies, the cells outside the sandwich and its crusts, are adding up to 10. And that means you could not do something like this. Because if you did that, this domino would add up to 10, and it would break the rules of the puzzle. So, what does that mean? That means right, I think that does have implications actually, because I think we've got to think about I haven't quite got my head around this, but I can't believe for a moment this can be a 1 or a 9 anymore. Because if that's a 1 or a 9, that's a 1 or a 9, and these 3 cells have to add up to 10, and we've got exactly the same problem with 3 cells adding up to 10 outside the sandwich that we had with the columns and the 3 cells adding inside the sandwich to 10, in the sense that these now have to be 2, 3 and 5 because they can't include a 1, which is going to put force a 5 here, and that 5 in column 2 is the middle of a 2-3 pair, and that breaks the puzzle absolutely because those 2 squares have to be a 2-3 pair as well. That's weird, isn't it? That's really beautiful though. It's such a lovely idea. So that square I've just proved is green. Now, can we do that the other way round with this square? If that's red, that would be red. These would be 2, 3, 5. The 5 would be in the middle, and yeah, you get a 2, 3 and a 2, 3 there because of this 10 clue. It's absolutely symmetrical logic. So that square is also green. Come on, this is going okay. Now, can we extend this further? That's the next challenge. So, oh, sorry. Yeah, of course we can. That square definitely can't be red now. Because if that's red, we know that the outies in this row sum to 10. So they must be at least 2 cells because you can't write 10 into a single cell. So where are we going to put the other red? We'll have to put it there, and that's going to be a domino that adds to 10, which breaks the rules of the puzzle. So that may, well, actually maybe it wasn't available until I ruled both of these squares out from being red, but that's definitely green, and by the corollary of that is that that is definitely green, because of course it's the same as symmetrical logic. We're not relying on the columns for that logic. So we've actually done okay here. Or maybe I'm just wondering whether we know 25 is at least a 4-cell sandwich. So if I go there and there, then I'd have 3 cells outside the sandwich, which would still have to be 2, 3 and 5. There'd have to be a 5. Oh, this is so clever. Good grief. Right, this doesn't work either. And this is good. This is very good because it's going to give me a digit. Right, well, not a digit, but a red cell. Because, look at this row. How could this be correct? And the answer is it can't be. And that's because, again, these cells have to be 2, 3 and 5. Remember, the 2s and the 3s are very naughty when they sit too close to each other. So we've got to put a 5 into one of those. The moment we do that, what is the nature of the column containing the 5? Well, the 5 will sit in the middle, let's say it's this one, it could be this one, it doesn't matter, of a 2, 3 pair. And now this square's got no value. And that obviously works the same way if that's the 5. This would be a 2, 3 pair, and that square would have no value. So this doesn't work at all. Which means that in this row, you can never put red here. So you must put green there. This must be red. Which means that is a 1 or a 9. Don't know if we know which way up that goes. But do we now know which of these is now... Does that logic work the same way here? If I put this as red, now these are green, this is a 2, 3, 5 triple. I know the 5 is over here. This becomes a 2 or a 3, so this is part of this 10 clue. So there's a 5 on one side of this. Thing is here, I think we might be able to escape from the clutches of... Obviously, if this was the 5, we've broken the puzzle, because this 10 clue would be telling us there's a 2, 3 pair there, and this would have no value. But what if that's the 5? Oh no, that still doesn't work. Oh, this is really clever. Oh god, it's it doesn't work. It doesn't matter because, right, let's go through this. If that's 5, this is a 2-3 pair and that's broken, so that doesn't work. But what if this is 2 or 3? Well, then this is 5, but now we've got to put a 5 in this column. And we know the 5 is going to be next to the 2 or the 3 because we know in this column there is a 2-3, a 5 and a 2-3 somewhere in it. So that one of these two is 5 and that's broken. So this doesn't work. And that means that in this row we now know what's going on. We know this is not red. That's what we particularly know. We don't know about that being a 5 or not, but we do know that because this can't be red, it's green, this is red, that is now not a 5, or might be a 5, but it's definitely, this is definitely red. Oh, now, oh, this is, I love, this is the sort of puzzle I love. It's absolutely beautiful how this is sort of structured to work, and it just works at every stage, because now look at column 2. We now actually can put in the second red digit. It can't be here. And we know it's a 3-cell sandwich. So it's got to be 3 cells there, then a red. And those we can place a 5, and that's our first digit. So that's a 5 in the grid. This is a 1 or a 9. All these squares turn green. We can't put a red next to a red in the bottom row, because obviously it would be a domino adding up to 10. Now, so there's a oh look, yeah, this is perfect. Now look at this column and ask where is its 5, because it's either here or here depending on which way the sandwich goes, and it can't be downwards because there's already a 5 in row 7, so it must be upwards to a red digit here. So this is a 1 or a 9, this is a 5, this is a 2-3 pair, these all turn green, these all turn green. This is green. In fact, that's a 3, look, because there's a 3 in row 1. So that's a 3. You can't use a 1-2 pair, sorry, I don't think I said that earlier, but you can't have a 1-2 pair inside a 1-9 pair in a sandwich, or you will repeat the 1, and that would be bad. So let's put red in here. These all turn green. This must be green. This is now a 2 by Sudoku. This is a 3. Okay. So what do we do now? We probably have to either think about this column or this column. Do we have to be a bit careful about that? So the 5 in this column, 5. Yeah, okay, there's certainly a problem, I think, with having the red too high in this column. Because if the red is here, this has to be a 2, 3 or a 5, and it can't be any of those things, so that's green. So if this was red, that doesn't work, because if this is red, this would be a 2, 3, 5 triple, and that breaks that 3, so that's green. And that, yes, and you can't cram the sandwich into only 4 cells, so that is red. That is lovely. So this is a sandwich, this is red, and that's not sandwich, and this is a 1 or a 9. This, well, the 3 in the sandwich goes here. This is, whoa, this is going to be a 5, that's going to be a 2. And somehow that doesn't resolve the 2s and the 3s over there, which is a bit strange, but never mind. Okay, but can we use this then to fix column 3? I don't know is the answer. I don't know that. No, actually it can be. I keep trying to put, I'm trying to put the reds in such that the 5s clash. I can do it here actually. If that's red, there'll be a 5 here, and that will clash with that. So that square's got to be green. Now, oh yes, it's sort of upside down symmetrical. If that's red, we know that will be red. This will be a 2, 3, 5 triple, and that will give this cell a problem. So that's green, which now means this has to be red. So that means these 3 squares are green and that's red. We've done column 3 now. Well, not done it, but we've done some things. And now this 2 helps. That's 3, that's 2. These 2 squares are a 1-9 pair. Right, and we can do loads of greens now. Those have to be green because there's already 2 reds in their box. Oh, I was about to make that red by Sudoku, but that's nonsense because we don't know whether these are the same digit or not. That 3 means the squares are 2, of course, so that's a 3. This is very strange because we've almost used up all the clues. I mean, no, I haven't used up this clue. Because we know that the outies here sum up to 10, and that's a 2, so that's got to be an 8. So the negative constraint is going to have to do work in this puzzle. These 3 digits are 4, 6 and 7 to complete the box. Yeah, here we go. Right, so look at this domino now. Now, as well as the 2s and 3s misbehaving when they sit together, the 4s and the 6s do the same thing. So we must keep 4s and 6s apart in dominoes. So that means this cannot be a 4-6 pair, so it must involve a 7, which means this square is not 7. Now, no, the 3's hiding away, so we don't... Yeah, so that we've got to keep the 7s away from the 3s, the 8s away from the 2s, and the 4s and 6s apart. And then everything will be okay. So the only other clue I've not used at all is the 19 clue. 19 must be at least 3 cells. And the outies in this column are going to be 45 minus 19 minus 10, which is 16, which is also 3 cells, isn't it? Because we can't use 9 and 7 outside of a sandwich of 1s and 9s. So this column somehow is going to be 3 cells outside the sandwich. The actual sandwich. Oh no, and there's 1 digit to play with because we could make 16 or 19 in more than 3 cells. We will have to do that in 1 instance. Okay. So what do we do now? Maybe we just do some Sudoku. We've got 4s, 6s, 7s and 8s here. Yeah, yes. Okay, so look at this column. That's also needs 4, 6, 7 and 8 because we get these big long quintuples in effect in the columns with the 10s in. Now look down here. That is a 4, 6, 7, 8 quadruple. So in this box we haven't placed 1, 2, 5 is the funny digit, isn't it? 9. So that's not 5. We know this is a 1 or a 9. So we haven't got the problem over here of there being a 1 and a 9 that need to be kept apart, because obviously 1 and 9 add up to 10, because we know that one of the 1s and 9s is there. I don't really see how to do that at all, actually. Sorry, I thought that was going to be useful. Finding a quadruple is normally useful. 5 has to be in one of those cells in the middle box. 3 has to be in one of those cells. 2 has to be in one of these cells. 2 is in one of those 2 cells in box number 2. Now, that means you can't put 8 in this domino because the 8s and the 2s misbehave when they get together. So 8 is either there or in one of those. It's not there. So 8 is in one of 3 positions in row 1. 2 is a little bit restricted in this box. And that's because you can't put 2 next to the 3 because that would add up to 5. So 2 is just in one of 2 places. Wow. What on earth are you meant to do to finish this puzzle? Ah, both of those squares are green, I've just noticed, because they see two reds. That's got to be green, because it sees a red orthogonally. That's got to be green, that sees a red orthogonally. Oh, we've got another of these sort of... Yeah, we've got another quadruple in box 1, look. Because these squares have to be from 4, 6, 7 and 8 again, as does this one, and those for that matter. We're getting a bit pencil marky about this, but that's a 4, 6, 7, 8 quadruple. That can't be 8 because it would be next to 2. So we've almost got... Oh yeah, that's something. So in this domino, you must have a 7 in this domino, or it will be a 4, 6 pair and add up to 10. And if there's a 7 in that domino, those two squares can't include a 7. So this is down to 4, 6 or 8. Oh, and there's symmetrical logic with 8s now. There must be an 8 in this domino, because otherwise this will be a 4, 6 pair and they misbehave. So that is not 8. So this is 4, 6 or 7. So now there's an 8 down here. I think we might have already known that. That can't be 7. It would. Sorry, brief interruption. Happened yesterday. It's happened again today. There's a lot going on in life at the moment, but I needed to take that call. So what were we doing? Looks like I was down here. I got rid of a 7 here, didn't I? And I got a and I got this quadruple at the top of the grid, and that means that these cells have got to be restricted. They have got to be 1s, 3s, 5s or 9s. So, whoa, 1, 3, 5 or 9. And that's not 3 or 1 or 9. So that is 5 in the corner, which means we've got 1s, 3s and 9s in here. Now, do we know which one of those is red? And the answer is... maybe not. 5 here, though, that must be helpful. No. I'm noticing 8's only got 2 positions in row 1 now. It's got to be in one of those 2 cells, because it can't go next to the 2. So maybe... No, okay, so that's not very good, sorry. Now we shall have a look instead at... I've lost my train of thought now. Never answer the phone during a Sudoku video. It totally bamboozles me. Right, okay, what can we say? There's definitely an 8 down here, but the 2 is hiding away over there, so that's not helpful. We can... What on earth can I do then? Maybe we've got to colour, have we? I'm just wondering about the 1s and 9s that we've already got. Let me just see if I can do this without colouring and see if I can see anything useful. The answer is no. That's the answer, I'm afraid. Okay, let's colour them in. Because obviously one of them is 1, one of them is 9, but we don't know what the order is. So let's just see if we can improve on that. Oh, I've managed to do them in the wrong... Well, let's do these in dark grey, let's do this in light grey. So that's got to be light, that's got to be dark, that's got to be light, that's got to be dark, that's got to be light. Now, do we know anything? Do we learn anything more? You see, we do learn some things. Like we learned that light grey red has to be in just those 2 cells now, which yes, that square is green. That's what we learn. See, we wouldn't have got that without colouring. this square here sees light grey and dark grey, so it can't be either 1 or 9. So this square, so now light grey is in one of 2 cells in box 5. Oh, and light grey is in one of, so light grey is sort of in an X-wing in boxes 5 and 8. Dark grey is in one of those 2. Oh. No. Yes. No. I thought I just spotted something really interesting about column 5. Where does light grey go in column 5? Unfortunately, I think it has 2 positions. I think it can go here or here. I thought for a moment it was only one, but it's not. It's here or here. It can't go in those 2. It can't go there by Sudoku. And it can't go in these 2. Yeah, so it's left with only 2 possibilities. Oh, that's beautiful. Right, that's it. That is it. So, light grey in this column is in either this cell or this cell. Let me highlight those in yellow. Actually, yellow's a silly colour. It's too similar to green. Light grey is in one of those 2. Now, look at dark grey in this row. Dark grey is either here or here. But if that's dark grey, it's too close to purple to facilitate a 19 sandwich. Because it's either going to require a 19 here or a 19 somehow on this line here, because these 2, in fact those 2 would add up to 10, wouldn't they? So that just doesn't work at all. So this square now is red-black. That's really, really beautiful. That really is. So that's not 3 anymore. So now you can't put 7 in those squares in row 6. Look, so 7 is in this domino in box 6. You can't, because you can't put 7 here because it would make a naughty pair. So oh, hang on, I've put black in there. Why do I keep doing that? So this is now a 1 or a 9, and it's so now I can green out the rest of this column with like this. That's got to be green because, well, for many reasons, not least the fact that the grey red is up there in box 5. Okay, so what actually have we learnt from this? That's too beautiful for it not to matter. It's just lovely that this 19 clue can be disambiguated like that. Well, not actually. In fact, I actually don't know anything about the 19 clue still. But that it can be used to place this was beautiful. So that purple thing is still true. You can only put the light grey in one of those 2 cells. I'm just wondering if we can now repeat the trick with the dark grey. 19 must be at least 3 cells, mustn't it? No, I don't think we can actually do that, sorry. So maybe it's the 7. Knowing there's a 7 in this domino, does that do something? I don't think so. Ah. Well, it doesn't do anything to that domino, but it does do something for this cell, which can't be an 8 or a 7 now. So that square's only got the ability to be 4s and 6s. And that, good grief, right, that's beautiful, because now look at this box. And what naughty little digits can we not put into these squares now? If this is 4 or 6, you can't put 4 or 6 here, and you can't put 4 or 6 there, which means that square is a 4 or a 6, in order to keep it away from the friend it does naughty things with when it sits close to it. And that means that's not a 7, which means that this is a 7 in box number 6, which means that that is an 8. Oh, this is, right, now we are actually getting somewhere. This is a 4 or a 6, so that can't be a 4 or a 6 either now. That has to be a 7 or an 8. Now, in this box, look at this box now. We've got the 4s and the 6s locked into this triomino. So if we were to put a 4 or a 6 at the pivot here, we'd always have a 4 or 6 in one of those two squares, which would create a naughty pairing. So that must be a 7 or an 8, which means these two squares are the 4s and the 6s, which means that this square here is a 1. And it's not a 1. It's not a 1. Because were it to be a 1, it would be next to a 4. And that would create a naughty pair again. So that's a 9. Which means that's a 9. Oh, in fact, I've just noticed I could have done exactly the same thing here. Once this becomes 4 or 6, once that pair, you can never put a 1 next to it. This is sensationally good. It's sensationally good. 1, 1, 9, 9, 9, 1. There we go. Now, what we probably ought to do is to go around the grid and delete 4 from any cell that is orthogonally adjacent to a 1. No, nearly. I thought that might be good somewhere. No. Sorry, yeah, that doesn't actually do anything. That's really strange. Oh, 8 by Sudoku is in these two cells, so that's a 3-8 pair. What does that mean? Not much. 8 can't go next to 2 in this box. So 2 is in a domino. So we can't, I was about to say we can't put 3 next to it, but obviously we can't put 3 next to it because it's a 3-8 pair already in the box. Bobbins. Okay, what about there then? That can't be a 3-7 pair because that's going to give us a problem with a naughty pairing again. So that's an 8, which means that's a 7. Which means this is not 7 and this is not 8. Ah! 9 can't go in any of those cells because this has become a 9. So this is a 1, 2, 5 triple. Oh, and you can't put, yeah, you can't put 2 next to 8. So that's a 1. So this is now the red-grey cell. We've got to put a red-grey in box 7. That's got to go here. Which means we can't. Oh, we already knew you couldn't put 4 next to that because the 4 is over this side of box 7 already. So one of these two squares is a 1. We've almost got all of the positions of 1s. I think I've got 7 1s in the grid. So we've got 1s in one of those two squares. And where are the positions for 9s left? That's a 2-9 pair. Nine is in one of those two. Have I got 7 9s as well? No, I've not even remotely. 9 is in. Okay, yeah, I've got 9s in one of those. 9s in one of these. So sort of an X-wing at the top of the grid, and then I've got 9s in one of those and 9s in one of those. So I'm wondering if I can do something with the 19 clue now. So 9 is either here or here. But if 9 is here, that becomes a 2. Yeah, that's beautiful. Right, that is not 9. So in this column, we know the 9 is either here or here. Well, but if it's here, where are we going to put the 1 in the column? Let's do this longhand. If this is 9, the 1 can't go there because I can't write 19 into this cell. So the 1 has to go here. Now this has to be 2. And this domino has to add up to 17 to make our 19 sandwich. And I can't make 2 cells in a sandwich Sudoku inside the sandwich add up to 17 because the 9 is not available. So this is not correct. And that means that this square is not 9, which means this square is 9, which means this square is a 9. This square is 2. That's definitely not 1 because that would force a 0 clue in the column. So that's 1. That's 1. That's not. Oh, neither of these are 1. Don't know why these had 1s pencil marked into them. That's green. These two have become red grey. These two have become red darker grey. Those two pencil marks can be removed. Those two become green. These two become green. These two become green. And now, for the pièce de résistance, we shall say that that's green. There we go. That's as good as we can do. 2 is placed in the top box, look. So 2's got to go right here. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, so now let's use the 19 outies in this column. We've got 1 plus 9 is 10. Those 4 cells are adding up to 19. So these 6 cells are adding to 29. So these 3 cells are adding up to 16, and that's a 2. So this is a 6-8 pair because it can't be a 5-9 pair. Now the 2 can't go next to the 8, so that's a 6, that's an 8. Ah, that 6 seems to have to mean that's an 8. So 8, I want to say 8's placed by Sudoku in box 3, I think it is. So 2 lives over the right hand side of box number 8. 2, 6, 8. This 8 is fixing the 8 and the 3 in the middle box. This is just sensational. Sensational again, isn't it? Every single puzzle by Phistomefel is just a joy. Now, can we use the negative constraint somehow to make more progress here? What do we need in row 1? We need that square to be 4 or 7. It's 4, 6 or 7, but there's a 6 here. So this is 4 or 7. Right, oh. I was about to say that means there must be a 7 in this domino, because otherwise this is a 4-6 pair and adds up to 10. But there also must be, oh, no, the way to do this is to look at this digit, look at this domino. If that's 6, that's 4, and that's problematic. So the 7 must sit between them. So that's 4, that's 6. Therefore this is 4, therefore this can't be 6, so that's 7. And the 4s and the 6 have been kept well apart in column 1. These 2 squares at the bottom have got to be, oh, I was about to say 2 and 5, and I was going to go, they can't be, but there's a 5 at the top, so that's okay. So this is 2 and, why can't I see what it is? 2 and 7 is what it is. 2 and 7. Let's put that in. So that's not 7. Oh, look. Yeah, we've got to keep the 4s and the 6s apart here, so the 8 must live between them. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means we can place 8 by Sudoku. There are 4 8s looking at box 8. Serendipitously enough. Now we can't put the 2 next to the 8, so the 2 goes here. That fixes the 2 and the 7 back over here. Now that cell seems to have to be 4 or 6 and can't be 6 by Sudoku. So that's 4, that's 6, that's 4. That's 4, that's 6, that's 6, that's 4. That's 7, that's 4. That's 2, that's 5. This digit should be a write-in. It's a 3, I think. So now we can't... Well, a 3 is up there somewhere, but I was just noting I can't put 7 here in this box. So 7 must be in one of those 2 cells. I'm not sure if we can do better than that. So these 2 digits in the column are a 5-7 pair. The 6s and 4s go further. Maybe this will help. 6 and 4. That's a 4. Yeah, so where do we put the 6 in this box now? It can't go here. It would be next to 4s, so the 6 must live here. Which means this square's a 6, which means that's the 7, and this should be the 5. And now this square is something, I don't know what, 7 maybe. Yeah, I think it's a 7. That means these should be 3, 5. Sort of wondering how I'm going to disambiguate this, but I'm sure something will help us. This is a 5. This is now a 7. So that's all. That all seems to be working. They should be green, shouldn't they? These 2 squares here are 6 and 9. Oh, and the 6 is doing it. I see. So 6 goes there. 9 goes here, 9 goes here, 3 goes here, 5 goes here, 3 goes here, 5 goes here, and 2 goes here. And maybe we've finished the puzzle. We certainly seem to have filled in all the digits anyway. So let's green those in and take a quick stare at it. I don't know if there's... No, it's correct. Fabulous. Absolutely fantastic. A lot more fantastic than what you're about to listen to. But that was just majestic. The way these 10s work is... it's just sublime. It's just sublime, as always, from the great man himself. Loved it. Absolutely loved every moment of that. I hope you did too. I hope you had a go. Let me know in the comments. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind about my singing. See you next time on Cracking the Cryptic. Hello, Mr. Jellybean. Sudoku book I haven't seen. Because of this I'm softly weeping. Dark depression slowly creeping. And the vision of a page of joy each day.